Hey there guys, welcome to part 2 of how to make a duct tape dress. We're pretty much going to take off right where we left off in part 1. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, definitely check that out in the description box below, and then you can start watching part 2. So let's get started here on part 2 of the tutorial and pretty much wrap up the entire dress here. Alright, so I said at the end of part 1 that I was going to totally cover the dress with the purple tape, and that's exactly what I've done here. So I'll give you a quick 360 view. You can tell it's totally covered in purple tape. Took a lot of tape, probably close to about 55-60 yards, so about 3 20-yard rolls was about good for making the entire thing here. I do want to go over a few little things before we start decorating it and really just wrapping up the dress, so I'm going to work on that now. Now, one of the things that you want to be mindful of before you actually start decorating the dress is covering up and kind of wrapping around all of the parts of the dress where the duct tape is able to wrap around. So for example, on the collar here, when I originally in part 1, all I did was stick the tape in kind of a straight line and following the line of fabric around the side here. And I pretty much did that with the entire dress, but now what you want to do is take a separate strip of tape and actually wrap a decent amount of it back inside the dress, and kind of like if you were looking through the dress, you'd be able to see a line of it where you wrapped it around. You will kind of want to do that with all different parts of the dress. Wherever you see like the lip of fabric and where the fabric ends and where your duct tape ends, you want to take another piece and wrap that around. That'll pretty much just seal it up, and it'll prevent the duct tape from coming off at all. If you just leave it like this, it's really simple for this piece to kind of just peel right off like that. And once one part peels off, the entire thing can go. So you want to just wrap it around the back, and that'll give it a little bit of it'll stabilize it a little bit, and it'll prevent it from unpeeling on pretty much any part of the dress. Alright, so now we're actually going to start working on the decoration part. So this is the very front part of the dress here. You can tell that by the buttons. And I said in part 1 that I'm actually going to be using flower petals to decorate the dress here, using purple and gray flower petals. Those are the two colors that this dress is going to kind of revolve around. So what I'm going to do is I made a whole bunch of petals here. As you can see, these are the gray ones, of course. And what I'm going to do is I want these to kind of overlap. I'm going to be doing probably about 2 inches or 3 inches of petals all the way around the dress, and there's going to be kind of staggered, like one row of gray, then another row of gray, then 2 rows of purple, then gray, and so on and so forth. So what I want to do is these petals will eventually just drape over the bottom part of the dress, as you can see there. You want to make sure that these are definitely stuck all the way on. And I'm going to line up my first 2 just like this. You also want to make sure that the points are pretty much even. If you made all your flower petals like pretty much exactly the same way, you probably won't have too much difficulty with that. So now I have my purple flowers. I'm going to stick those on. And the issue here is that once you're done putting your entire row all the way around, you can kind of figure out exactly how the pattern's going to be. From here, what we're going to do is take a few more gray, and you're actually going to stick one right here, and that's going to kind of go in between. Then you're going to take another gray, and that's going to go right here. You're kind of making almost like a dragon scale kind of pattern, or like a bird feather pattern, and that's exactly how you keep applying these all the way around the dress. So I'm going to take my 5th one, and that's going to go right about there. And you want to make sure that they're kind of even. Make sure all the points are lined up, pretty much straight if you look at it, like from up and down. And you also want them to be kind of equidistant from each other, and they want to kind of touch in the middle. You can kind of just, go as you want to with these. It won't be exactly perfect, but when you have them all, overlapping, it'll be pretty hard to tell if it's, it's kind of messed up. So I'm going to take 2 more here. I'm ripping them off my cutting mat here. I have them all, lined up here. It will take a little while to make all your flower petals for the dress. You can cover the entire dress in flower petals. It's going to take a lot more time and a lot more tape, but it's definitely possible. And I won't be doing that for this tutorial, but you can definitely do that eventually. So now let's work on the purple flower petals here. Alright, so now we're simply going to continue this pattern of applying the flower petals to the next part of the dress, which is the purple part here. And you can kind of try to line them up, based all the way around here. It's going to be a little difficult, but you can definitely do it that way. Basically here, it's going to be a little bit different because I'm actually going to be applying the gap in between here. You can also always lift up the petals to kind of apply a piece, because the only part that's really stuck down is that rectangular bar on each of the petals. So if you want them to kind of bleed together, that's one of the ways that you can do that. So this one's kind of be like a 3-part across here. So I'm just going to keep applying these. And you can always attach, smaller petals. If a part looks like you want to attach another petal to it, you can just attach a smaller one. There's no rule against that or anything like that. So you can kind of just make it your own dress here. So I'll apply 1 or 2 more, and that will pretty much wrap up this section right here. You got that there, and that there. And obviously another purple one would go right there. Alright, so at this point you're probably thinking, okay, I can put the petals on, it looks pretty great, but it looks kind of off with, the purple being, bleeding right into the more purple petals, and the gray that's kind of just thrown onto there, and it's kind of just, this ugly line on the center. Well, what I'm actually going to do is actually going to do a little bit more of a style, for this dress, a little bit more of a stylish decoration. I'm going to take a roll of gray tape here. I'm going to cut off a piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to style the dress so that these strips of gray go all the way up and around and kind of wrap around it like a candy cane. And to do this, you're kind of gonna have to kind of measure it the best you can, and you want the swirl of gray to be about all the way even, all the way around. So I'm gonna apply that right there, and I need to mark it right there with my pair of scissors. I'm gonna cut that right off. And then I'm going to simply apply right after this another strip that's going to go all the way around. And the cool part about this is that you can actually just apply a whole bunch of other things off of these strips. If you wanted to do a kind of a curly Q design or kind of like a zigzag pattern, you could do that as well. There's a whole bunch of cool things that you can do off of these two lines I'm going to be wrapping all the way around the dress here. Alrighty, so time to ditch the tripod and really show off the dress here. Just before I show it to you, make sure you definitely have all your petals stuck on towards the bottom here. I've seen a lot of dresses that utilize petals, and if they aren't really stuck on like really well, they tend to fall off over time. So you definitely want to stick them on as best you can. You might have to eventually take the petal off and replace it with a new one, but it should work out pretty well. I didn't do the entire part of the dress here. You can tell there is a part over here missing where there should be more purple petals, but I just wanted to save a little bit of time, and I think you guys can kind of guess what it would look like if I had petals all the way around here. So I'm going to zoom out, and as you can tell, I took those gray strips and I kind of wrapped them around in kind of going a straight line or diagonal line straight up from around where those petal parts are, and I will spin the dress around. They continue all the way around here. And as I was doing the first one, which was, pardon me, I was doing the first one over here, I ended up with one that went really high, and then I was actually going to stick them all the way up, but then it kind of looked like a cool, just like a step pattern, so I decided to leave that for that one there, and I did the same thing for this one down here. And it's a little bit tricky when you're applying these strips over the hips, especially because there's just so much curve here, but you definitely want to just do it as slowly as you can. You may have to trim the tape a little bit, I don't know if you can see, but sometimes it doesn't exactly stick all the way, so if you took a pair of scissors, I might as well show you guys here. If you take a pair of scissors and you actually cut in there, since it's 2 pieces now, it will be able to be stuck down on 2 different pieces, and it will stay stuck better, and it'll stick down to that surface better. So that's one of the techniques that you can use. Unfortunately, no one will actually be able to wear this dress because it's the wrong size for anyone that I know or anyone in my family, but that's the dress there. So hopefully you guys like this tutorial. You can make a variety of different kinds of dresses no matter what you want. This one was basically just a simple flower petal and stream pattern. Basically, this is definitely a recurring thing on the channel here. I'll definitely be giving you guys, dress showcases over the next few months and the time after that. So hopefully you guys like the video and this tutorial, and have fun making your first duct tape dress. There will be more tutorials for clothing coming in the future. So hopefully you guys like the video, and I'll catch you next time on the channel.